Hi, my name is Lucy. I'm 14 years old, and I have a serious problem. A problem that I have kept a secret for my entire life. And this is the first time I'm saying it out loud to anyone other than my family or my doctor. I am a hypochondriac. Before I was 7 years old, my life was great. I had a great family and not a care in the world. I truly thought I was the luckiest girl alive to have such a loving family. Then, when I was 7, my whole life and who I was changed when my mom was diagnosed and passed of cancer. I'm not sure how long she was suffering because I was so young and everyone tried to protect me by putting on a brave face. But because of her passing, I started having thoughts that I was going to leap in the exact same way, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. I wasn't only scared of thought, but scared of what I would also leave behind, just like my mom leaving me and my dad behind. My heart would ache because if I went in the same way as my mom, my dad would be left alone and I couldn't leave him this way. So I decided to take better care of my body. That better care turned into overly cautious, and that overly cautious turned into something completely different, something beyond my control. Every night before I went to bed, I would check my body twice over just to check nothing had changed and that no lumps or bumps had appeared. I couldn't go a day without being worried about getting ill or turning terminal, to the point where one night I was checking myself, running my hands around my neck, over my chest and down my legs. Then I found it. As I got to my feet, my hands ran over a strange bump on the bottom of my foot that I had not noticed before. Immediately, I thought I had skin cancer. My heart started racing. I ran down to my dad and said, "My foot, my foot!" He was startled as I raced toward him. Then he tried his best to calm me down and said we would get it checked out in the morning. That night, I didn't sleep a wink. In the morning, my dad called the doctor and explained my symptoms. They said it was likely just a verruca, and I should get some cream for it. My dad didn't see anything too out of the ordinary with my behavior and just thought I was being dramatic because I had always been a drama queen. I became worse when I turned 11 and received my first phone. Every time I felt something was wrong, I would turn straight to Dr. Google to search my symptoms, which didn't make me feel much better. Whenever I got ill, I would instantly think I was going to pass and cried for hours. I remember one day I had stomach pains and thought it could be an ulcer. But after researching my symptoms on the internet, the result came up saying it could be a ruptured appendix. I started reading stories of people's symptoms, and I began feeling the same things. The cramping, the twisting, and squeezing. It got so bad that all I could do was cry and hope I would pass quietly. My dad still never really suspected anything and just thought I was being cautious when he had to take me to the doctor so much. But one day, when I had been out in the sun with my friends, I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror and saw it. A red, blotchy patch on my chest staring right at me like a red warning light. I was sure it was skin cancer. I went straight home crying. I rushed through the door and found my dad sitting in the living room. "Look at this! I think there's something wrong." I pleaded with him and made him take me to the doctors. He managed to book me in for an emergency appointment. I remember the drive there feeling sick the whole way. We only sat in the doctor's room for a few minutes, and then the doctor said, "It is fine. You just have a heat rash from being in the sun too long." Even though I was being told this by a doctor, someone who I wanted advice from and should trust, I was still certain it was something else and didn't believe him or anyone but myself. This man was supposed to be a doctor. How could he not diagnose me correctly? He was either completely incompetent or he had taken some kind of disliking to me and my family, so he just didn't want to diagnose me and give me the help I needed. I begged and pleaded with my dad to take me to get a second opinion. As much as he didn't like seeing me in so much distress, he told me I should wait for a couple of days to see if it did get better. Great. So first the doctors don't believe me, and now my own family doesn't believe what I'm saying. This is when I started to record my temperature in secret to see if it went up or down. monitoring its every movement. If no one else could find something wrong, I was going to make sure I could. I would watch it go up and down just tiny amounts, causing my hands to break out in cold sweats and my whole world to crumble around me. This was literally all I could focus on now. I wasn't sleeping for nights on end, and my school grades were going down fast. This is when my dad started to suspect something. At first, I refused to tell him what had been happening, even though, deep down, I knew something wasn't right. My dad came into my room one day and said, "Lucy, you know I love you very much. You also know I would never let anything happen to you. Recently, I have noticed a change in you and I want to address it. I know I have been really busy with work, but I do still notice things. Is there anything you want to tell me?" I was hesitant at first, but then everything came flooding out. I told him the whole story of how it started after Mom passed, and since that day, I just haven't been the same. He showed so much love and understanding that I wish I had said something sooner. My dad once again booked me a doctor's appointment, but this time so I could get some real help. This was about the first time I was going to see the doctors when it wasn't my idea and I didn't actually want to go. My first appointment was scary. I sat in the chair across from my doctor with my dad by my side, and once again, I became hesitant to tell her how I had been feeling and what had been happening to me. I looked to my dad and then to the doctor. She could see I was struggling, so she reassured me that I wasn't alone and she was there to listen. She made me feel safe. She didn't push me to say anything I wasn't ready to say, and she is the one who made me feel I wasn't alone and how it was okay to share my story. As she put it, being a hypochondriac means I spend most of my life afraid of getting ill, even though there are no real visible symptoms. Even if I am told by a medical doctor that I am fine, despite the exams and test results, I deny and worry that it could be something else. I can't put into words how sure I am, even when there is nothing wrong. But even the smallest thing can send my mind into a whirlwind of emotions, and before I know it, I'm self-diagnosing myself on the internet and rushing to the hospital. It's been a long journey, but I'm starting to feel better. I hope my story will help people who are going through similar problems know that it is okay to talk to someone and ask for help. Not only is my doctor helping me, but she educated my dad and reassured me that she is there to support me in my everyday life. I now go to sessions every week, and they help me to come to terms with what I have, how to finally cope with my mom's passing, and how I am healthy, even when my mind might sometimes tell me otherwise.